Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode slash edition slash installment of Free Thinkers. I'm one of your hosts, Q, like you see on the shirt. And we got our other co-host B coming in soon. So if this is your first time hearing Free Thinkers, we are a discussion group that talks about any and everything. And we just say, come prepared with your own thoughts, your own mindset, and be prepared to have a good conversation. We are all about the conversation. So if you're listening through YouTube, if you want to get on, then you can also go to our Facebook page. You can go to our Facebook, and then that way you can click the link. This is an open discussion, so if you desire to get on, all you got to do is go to the Facebook page, and you can find the link or put it in the comments. Just send the link. We'll put the link out there as well. And then if you've never been on StreamYard before, very easy. Just click on the link, follow the prompts, and then we'll let you in. Keep in mind you want to have something in your ear so that sound doesn't bleed. Also, you want to keep in mind that this is adult content and adult conversation. So there could and will probably be some things said that you may want to be cautious of potentially younger listeners, what you want them to hear. So we're going to jump right into it. Last week, we had a conversation talking about blame. Now, I don't think we thoroughly got to get into the conversation the way I wanted to. We were kind of talking about some scenarios. We really dug in first around the floods and everything that's been going on around Texas and the southern states, and we talked about how society tries to politicize everything, and they try to turn human natural tragedy into a politicized event. And for some reason, there always has to be blame assessed to every time there's an unfortunate incident. Then it seems like we want to place blame. I had certain thoughts about that. Nikki has certain thoughts about that. But we just want to continue the conversation because we didn't get into everything surrounding blame. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I'm thinking about this. When I think of blame, I don't. So one of the things I wanted to ask, I don't think we got to last week. I wanted to get into the conversation on how a person individually assesses blame. And what I mean by that is when there is an incident or a situation, what is your natural response? Some people's natural response is to blame it on a situation or a circumstance. Some people like to blame it on a specific person. I'm just thinking about some stuff. And some people have a propensity to blame themselves in every situation. Whether it's they feel that they did something specifically to cause that event, or some people just like to ride that karma train to death and feel like something that they did back when they was 13 is the reason why they're going through this calamity now. So one of my first questions would be, in an instance where a situation, unfortunate situation or circumstance happens, what is your default go-to when it comes to blame? Do you typically start with yourself first? Do you start with a situation? Do you start with an area of sensitivity? Like like my mom said, ain't nothing but the devil. Do you go to do you go to the devil first? Do you go to the white man first? Do you go to big business first? Do you go to your ex-wife first? And every bad thing that happens in your life, it was a ripple effect from something that she did to you. So Nikki, when it comes to blame, what is usually your default initial thought process? Do you start with yourself first, or where do you start when it comes to blame? Or do you just not blame anybody?
No, I do. Because like we talked about last week, right? I think that there is benefit. I don't even want to say benefit. I think that some things require a responsibility to a fault, right? Not responsibility being the fault, just a faulty thing, an error has taken place. Is there somebody responsible for this error having taken place? And I think that when we don't place blame, responsibility, culpability in places where it is due, it definitely, it serves no benefit to trying to change whatever it was that took place that allowed something to happen. So I don't want to say that I look for blame or I look for fault per se, but I think my default setting is always going to go to, what is my part in this? What part did I play in whatever this situation is that allowed these things or this thing to happen, right? Because I do believe that, even in situations where, let's say, I'm an advocate of saying that rejection is redirection, right? So even in situations where it's like, maybe I wasn't the one that was maybe I was rejected, and instead of being like, oh, well, he this or they that or she that, or like, one, I believe that there's a purpose for that redirection, but I don't think that blame always has to necessarily be. I think that blame has levels to it, but I think that in trying to learn lessons and trying to accept responsibility and trying to not repeat patterns that cause error in my life is critical for me to look at my part in whatever took place that is causing a blame session to be had. I have no problem placing blame in places where it is also deserved. I have no problem in letting somebody else know what part they played in something, but that doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I can only control me and my side of the street. And so I do always look at myself first, and then I go from there depending on whatever the situation is.
Oh, I got other questions, but I guess I'm trying to slow walk this.
Slow walk it.
Yeah, because I got a lot of areas I think I want to jump to, but I ain't gonna do that yet. Denise, when it comes to blame, what is your typical default? Is your anytime a situation or circumstance happens, um, your first reaction, is it to blame yourself? Is it to blame um, a situation? Is it to blame a specific person? Like, where does blame you, or do you look for blame in every situation or misfortune? I guess that's a two-part question.
It's dependent on a few things. Like if it's at work, the first thing I do is look to see, did I do something that I wasn't supposed to do? Or did I not do something? You know what I mean? So I'll see, am I to blame? Because if I'm not, when the thing needs to get fixed, I have to make it abundantly clear that this has nothing to do with me. And in fact, I probably told someone else to do something they were supposed to do and they didn't. So in that situation, when it's at work, the first thing I do is, oh shit, let me go look to see if I did everything I was supposed to do first. Because CYA, cover your own ass. In a relationship circumstance, I think I might default to self-blame first. I think my default is also always to see, did I do something first?
Right. What is
like how did I contribute?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that in all things. Like somebody could die and I could be like, if I just would have called them that day, like you know what I mean, like just ridiculous stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean, that I have no control over. But I think it's my default to place blame on myself first, if I can actually place blame on myself, if there's something I did, and then if not, then it's others. And even then, I feel like even in relationships, before I'll blame that person, I'll be like, it's everybody around them. It's everybody they were talking to. They were hating on our relationship. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh wow, they were against us type of.
They were against us.
The world was against us. That's why we couldn't make it. Okay, that's funny.
What about you, Q? What is your default setting? Where do you go?
My default setting is It's a pie. So I'm like, let's
What's the percentages?
yeah, I'm sure it's enough blame to go around. I definitely think about my part. I think about society's part. I think about the other person's part.
Ooh.
Um, so then, because on for the last few years, I've been on this whole spectrum thing. It's not a yes or no, mine or theirs. It's to what level or to what extent. Um,
Mhm.
There you go.
so yeah, there's always something in hindsight I can look back and say, yeah, I should have did this different. But that doesn't mean I take the lion's share of responsibility if it doesn't belong to me.
Yeah.
I will give
Oh
the
yeah.
just me as a free thinker. I think I give just due to who deserves it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I do pretty good with that now. I think I do pretty good with
I think when I
um
don't have an answer to, my default is to blame myself because I just need something. I need to rationalize what's going on. And I think I might like self blame in scenarios where I just can't. I'm like, I don't understand why this is happening. Like maybe it's me kind of thing because I need
so
to rationalize
Oh,
it.
and one
oh,
thing is blame.
nope.
If you
Here's my
blame
note.
yourself for everything and it's not rational, then that could be not good for you. But oftentimes, blame is a good thing because it's empowering. If you do it right.
Ooh, come
If
on,
you're
See,
doing
Q.
it right.
if
If
I
you're doing it
blame
right.
myself or if I'm being aware of my role in this situation, then I'm empowering myself to make better decisions or to at least feel like I have control of what's going on around me. And I have the power to change my world, to change my atmosphere, to change my life if I don't like the way it's going, to change my relationships if I don't like. When you take blame slash responsibility, then you empower yourself to change the
Yeah.
situation that you feel is not what you want it to be.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, as I was listening to you talk, Denise, I hear you, and I'm trying to think of like, do I do that too, right? Like, do I take? Because I really try to be very mindful about really owning what's mine, so that I don't have to deal with shit that I'm not supposed to be dealing with, right? Like, I have enough on
Yeah.
my plate. Why am I inviting extra shit? Because it's going to serve me no purpose at the end of the day, and the other person or the other situation really doesn't give a shit anyways. So why am I
Yeah.
taking this on? And so I had to really look at my subconscious, unsubconscious, codependent ways, because I'm like, why am I taking ownership or blame just because I feel bad that something went down that isn't my fault? Like, that isn't my fault, right? And I think that, you know, like I was listening to your example at work, and I think for me, having been, we'll say, the business owner for a long time, everything was my fault at the end of the day, right? So like, even if an
Mhm.
employee did something, or something happened, like at the end of the day, you know, you go to the highest of the food chain, and we're here to solve the problems. Like, so my thought is always, it isn't that I had to have had a part in it always, but I also had to learn the difference between being empathetic and sympathetic to a situation and not taking ownership for it because it's not mine. Like, and I had a really hard time with that for a long time, because if something made me feel bad, I would just fucking feel it. And if something made somebody else feel bad, you know, and they felt bad because of something that they got themselves into, like, I'm taking on other people's emotions, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, this is not mine to carry. So
Yep.
I've had to be really careful about when something goes wrong or when there's an error or a fault, because I do look at self first, not taking ownership of things that I don't have any business taking ownership of.
Yeah. You know, somebody talked to me about that once about being a person who has empathy. When you have empathy, they were saying, not in all cases, but I could see how that like kind of reflected in my own life. How sometimes people who have empathy are people who had to have empathy as a child because they needed to know what was going on around them so that they could know how to navigate that. So they needed to know how to be able to feel how this person was feeling, how that person was feeling. And then when that person grows up and becomes an adult, it's hard to let go of being able to empathize and not take it on.
Mm.
And so then you have to go through that process of being like, I can feel you and not feel like this is my burden to carry. But it's so hard not to do that when
Mm-hmm.
you feel it. Because when you feel it, it feels like it's yours because you feel the pain. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, you just, for whatever reason, you're aware of it. If there's something you can do, cool. If there's not anything you can do, it's like having to be okay with that and like not feel the need to save
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Because I feel like a lot of empaths are like have like a savior complex, and I don't even think it's like ego driven. I
No.
think it may be like from the need of like I gotta get
Thank
this off of
you.
me.
Yeah. I can help you. I can fix you. I have the answers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But but I am very much like you, Q. I'm a big advocate of placing blame where I think that it deserves to be placed. And that doesn't mean that, one has to be shameful or, whatever. However you take it is on you. But I do believe that people are, if you done messed up somewhere and you have caused error or you have, caused, wrong somewhere, like, yeah, you gotta own it. And I think it's okay to place blame.
Um, have there ever been a time, and Denise mentioned this, romantically, can you think of a time where you were the primary person to blame? Like, yeah, that the reason this didn't or wasn't working out, this was my fault.
I mean, I'm not a good one to ask because I don't have a lot of relationship advice outside of a couple long-term relationships, right? So of those, hell no, wasn't my fault. But
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
quite honestly, no, it wasn't. The only thing I did wrong was not leave sooner, right? But in terms of like the degradation of the relationship, no, that wasn't on me. That wasn't on me, and I stand on that. So relationship wise, for me, I'm not a great person to ask because I don't have a whole bunch that I can compare them to. Now, if I did fuck up a relationship, if it was me, I feel like I would very much own that, right? I feel like I would very much own that.
I've been to blame definitely for some situations because like I had this bad habit had this bad habit of like coming out of something and still lingering and like moving into another thing while still lingering in the old thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not cheating. I'm not with this other person, but I'm still dealing with them while I'm trying to get to know someone new. And I feel like that is so messed up and it should not be done. And if you're at home doing this, let me tell you, stop. Just stop. It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for the old person. It's not going to work for the new person.
Yeah.
Like, remove yourself from this situation. Like, you are not done with the person before, and therefore, you need to let this new person go on and live their life because really, you're just leading them on. Because at any point in time, if that old person gets it together, that's where you're going back to.
Oh no.
That's where you're going back to. And you're using this other person as somewhat of a placeholder because you're not ready to quite let it go. And you don't do it. I've done that. I've done it a few times. I've seen how it really affects both people. Even if you're talking to a new guy, you think, oh, this new guy doesn't care. We just start talking. He don't care. Like it's whatever to him. It's not true. So that's the times where I have definitely need to take blame. Is when I am in limbo in one situation and in another one. Yes.
Has any man that you've ever been dealing with in that dynamic called you out for that? Like, I'm just curious. Did they even
Yeah.
know first? Okay, really? Okay, I so appreciate
Yeah.
your honesty too. I love you for being honest. I so appreciate you for being honest
Yeah.
because they say
Because
that they always say we don't take responsibility for shit and we don't apologize and blah blah blah. But yes, we do. So I appreciate you for that. But somebody did call you out. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
because I don't lie about it.
straight up,
Like like uh,
straight up.
like I may not let a person know up front that's what's going on because I'm not really sure what I want to do because I'm not even sure. And then
Right.
it'll be like something will happen and I'm like, dang, I'm back messing with so and so, but I'm talking to this new one, and I'm like, ah, I'm here now. And then if a question is asked, I'll be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening right now. Um, yeah, and it's just like never, it doesn't even matter how honest you are with that other person. It's like just knowing that you have these lingering feelings and you're still dealing. It's one thing to linger or have the feelings there, but you're not dealing with that person. It's another thing to have the lingering feelings and still deal with them. Like right now, I'm like, hey, I'm going, I'm still processing my breakup. So if that's too much for you, then let me know. I'm not dealing with him, I'm not talking to him, I'm not in communication with him, but I am still processing that versus like I'm still hitting him on the side. So that's my new thing. It's like, hey, I'm still processing my breakup.
Okay. But do you want, like, I feel like that's even still like a little bit of like the toe in the water a little bit.
Oh no.
Because if you're still processing a breakup with one, why are we bringing in another?
She definitely got a few toes in the water still.
No, I don't. Swear to God,
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
I don't.
And I'm sure every person would give different dating advice based on like their style, right? But like I'm a firm believer in nobody new gets to come in until the old has been handled. It's not fair to that person, and it's
I don't
not
agree
fair.
with that either.
Do what?
Said I don't agree with that either.
You don't agree with? Of course you don't. You think
No.
everybody should date everybody all the time, forever, over and over.
I can't say when that chapter of my life is gonna turn.
Of course.
Like mentally, I can say that it's turned, but everything else that my body, my memories, and everything feel.
It could be a
I don't
while.
know when the time goes. Yeah, and I ain't waiting for it either.
And I'm not waiting. I'm 38. Baby, listen, I'm still a little hurt, but we moving on.
Yeah,
we're moving on. Hey, I'm not gonna let my ex stop me from being with the love of my life. I'm sorry.
You're
moving on.
About him than he is.
No, I'm processing. You know what? I still have love for you. I care about you. I realize that this is not going to work and it's never going to work. And accepting that this ain't going to work and it's never going to work is all I need. I just had to accept that, and then everything else is just getting like Q was saying, getting over the memories, getting over this, getting over that. But it's like I'm not going to wait around. He's probably not waiting. Like why should I wait around to like there's still stuff that I'm healing from dudes from years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not waiting years.
Right. Should you stay single for 2 years till you all over it?
Nah, buddy. No. Help me. Love me back to life. I'm gonna go to therapy. I'm gonna go to therapy and do what I need to do. I'm gonna read the book. I'm gonna do the affirmations. I'm doing all of that. But what I'm not gonna do is not move on with someone else who wants to be serious about me.
Now let me say this. On the flip side, it's that person's, in this case, it's that man's responsibility to look at Denise and be like,
it is.
She ain't ready yet.
It is.
I'm gonna be cool with her from a distance till she kind of
No, but what if it's with your ex before that? You just double back. What if you just double back?
Well, he is the double back then. You double back to him because you still kept that to them toes in the water. Exactly. Them toes is in the water. That's how you still ran it back.
No, they weren't. There was no communication. There was zero communication. There was zero communication.
There was enough communication if you got back with him.
Mm-hmm. It was none. It was radio silence.
There was some.
It's just some people will take you back. And you can get back into someone's life after
you didn't get back into a relationship in a relationship. It had to be some
but you just, when the relationship ends, you take your month or so to get it together, and then maybe you reached out to your ex.
That's what I'm saying. You reached out to your ex. The door is open still. Toes in the water.
With that bullshit.
Toes in the water.
Hold on. What you say, Kevin? Nobody has been cured from therapy. I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm gonna call bullshit for a little bit, but
still toes in the water.
If the toes not in the water, you haven't been talking to them.
No, the toes is in the water if you felt that you could reach back out to them after your last situationship was over.
Not that I felt that I could. I just do.
Okay, so then you
And then
could
if
go
they
ahead.
answer, I'm like, oh shit, you answered the phone.
So the toes are still in the water.
You think so?
And they
Yes.
over there processing. They over there doing the same fucking bullshit. Oh wow, the pussy called me. Hey, boo. Meanwhile, we trying to love somebody back to life. Girl, stop it. Stop it.
I still agree with you, Denise, but
I blame you.
I'm just calling it what it is. I can agree with you and call it what it is at the same time.
Hey, we moving on. I hope it works. That's all I know. We moving on. I ain't saying sad. We moving on. You are not stopping me.
Don't have to be sad. Don't have to be sad. But hey, look, moving on does not require sadness. That's for damn sure.
Okay, so something I didn't get to ask you last week since you weren't here, Denise, we was talking about blame.
Mm-hmm.
With Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
they put his doctor on trial because the doctor gave him the medicines or so forth that end ultimately killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Who was to blame for Michael Jackson's death?
Well, I would say if you are the administrator, like let's say I'm getting surgery and I have an anesthesiologist, and the anesthesiologist knows my weight, my this, my that, like all the things that they're supposed to know.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, they give me this thing and I'm having a reaction to it because they overdosed me, because maybe they looked at something wrong or whatever the case may be, then it's the anesthesiologist's fault. If it was because the nurse wrote something down wrong in my file, my chart, and said I was 180 and really I'm 140, and then that then it's that person's fault. If I got sold some bad drugs, I'm always feel mixed on that one. Like if it was a bad drug situation, it's like I still chose to do drugs. There's always the possibility that these drugs are bad if they're street drugs. But if this is like administered to me by a doctor who's a professional, who is allowed to do this, they're not doing it illegally, they're legally doing this, and everything that they did it by the book, and then something goes wrong, then that's like a something just went wrong. But if everything is done by the book and if everything's done by the book and something goes wrong, I don't think it's their fault. If it ain't been done by the book, then that's where I feel like they take blame. So it really depends on the circumstance. Like, were they legally doing this? Was this illegal? Like, what were they using the drug correctly? Like, all those things matter in
Well,
whether
you
I
didn't
think
answer
who's
the
to blame.
question because it wasn't done legally. In the
Okay.
Michael Jackson instance, it wasn't done legally. The stuff, I think they was borderline like horse tranquilizer. It wasn't even designed for. It wasn't even supposed to be taken like that. So
So I would blame the doctor, because from a legal standpoint, you can blame the doctor because doctors take an oath. With the Hippocratic oath, they take this oath on how you're supposed to be a doctor and how you do things. So if you're taking that oath and you're going against that oath by using horse tranquilizer on a human being, then that's on you. Now, does Michael Jackson have no fault in that? If he didn't know it was horse tranquilizer, you know what I'm saying? If he didn't know it was horse tranquilizer and he thought it was something else that he was allowed to have, then he's not at fault. But if he also knew, like, hey, we're like doing stuff we're not supposed to do, it's both their faults for sure.
if there was a person for primary blame, who's the primary blame on it? And then Nikki, you jump in.
Who
See, now that was a different question than what you asked last week, but I like that question too.
primary blame? Primary blame, I would have to say I would give it to Michael Jackson. Let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I made a decision to do drugs illegally and something happened to me based on the decision that I made that I was not forced to make, I think I would have a problem with somebody else going to jail for that off a choice I made.
If it was your doctor, not your drug dealer off the street, not your boy from around the corner, if it was your medical fucking provider, your licensed physician, your licensed doctor who's taken an oath to do no harm. We ain't talking about the person who took the fent and overdosed and died and shit's just really fucking fucked up, right? We talking about a doctor. And let me tell you, propofol, it says propofol is a widely used intravenous anesthetic that induces and maintains general anesthesia, providing rapid sedation and recovery for surgical procedures. He ain't needed for neither one of them things.
That's correct.
So you have a doctor who's giving you some really strong shit. Nobody knew what propofol was back then. People were still using heroin and cocaine and other opiates to put themselves out to get to that place. He was taking IV drugs that would put him to sleep that you would take after a surgical procedure, none of which he had at that particular moment. So I get the argument, but we got to keep it all the way 100 when we're looking at who administered this. And that was the question that you'd ask, was that doctor at fault? If it was me taking drugs,
let's
that's
circle
the
back
risk that I
around to
take.
my.
If
Let's
I'm
circle back
taking
around to
drugs,
my last
if I'm
question.
taking drugs, that is a risk that I take as a drug user, unfortunately. But this was given to him by a doctor.
So who's the
I think that's
primary
good.
blame for that situation?
For me, it's still like, is this okay? If this is your general doctor, right? Let's say this is your
Oh,
general
I didn't
doctor.
catch that. Okay.
Oh, I was saying if this is your general doctor and they're like, hey, I know something that can help, I would blame the doctor. If you went and sought out the doctor that makes the runs around Hollywood, that's on you
Right.
because that's a drug dealer.
Right.
Now that's a drug dealer.
That's
If it's your,
a drug dealer that's still administering medication under a medical license.
it's a drug dealer. Now he's acting as a drug dealer in that particular situation. If this was his doctor that he went to see and everything was legit and he checked them out and all of that, like, is this his doctor or is this his doctor that also sells drugs? Is this a doctor who sells drugs? There's a difference between this being your doctor and a doctor who sells drugs, which will depend on how I think the blame should go. If this is his doctor doing some off hour shit that he suggested that could help, then that doctor's fucked. He's wrong.
He was his personal physician. He said he was hired to assist Jackson during his preparation for a series of comeback concerts in London. He was paid $150,000 a month for his services. He was a cardiologist who became Michael Jackson's personal physician in 2009. What year did Michael die?
I think it was 2000. It was around that time. 2009.
So 09, he became his doctor. In 09, June 25th, he died. So the same year he became his doctor is the same year he died. There's your common denominator.
That's not a real. Then in that case, I wouldn't say that's his real doctor. I think he probably still has a general doctor that he would go see, and this was his drug dealer.
That's what
it sounds like. Because if you're,
I
when he was like, what,
someone
50?
who's gonna give me what I'm looking for.
That was his drug
So
dealer.
if you're drug seeking, those are people who go to different doctors for pills, right? If you are a drug seeking individual, it's just finding the doctor who's willing to break their ethical agreements to poison you for the benefit of money. Because I'm sure that there were doctors who were like, hell no, we're not finna, I'm not even gonna fucking touch this. This gentleman probably thought, oh, I can manage his addiction. I can be the one that gives him his drugs. I can be his best friend, just like a kid who has to tie the belt around his mom's arm tight so she can shoot dope. Do we blame the kid? God damn. But this is a person who took advantage of an individual who had mental health issues, substance abuse issues, God knows whatever else issues. Did Mike consume the drugs? Of course, but this person put them in his body. And he sought
So
out
you said the
somebody to
doctor
do
is the
something.
primary person to blame. The doctor is the primary.
100% do. And I don't think that in all cases where people have died from drugs. I'm not being overly sensitive because I love me some addicts and alcoholics. It's just this is a doctor. This is not the person on the street. This is not my friends who sold crack to their whole fucking neighborhood, for 10 years. It's not them. These are different people. This is a doctor, man. And we have to hold these people to a higher standard or else there's no ethical integrity. There's no professional integrity. There's no safeness in that.
Can I also throw this out here though? There's also, when you start thinking about class and stuff like that, that changes the conversation as well. Because if I'm making like 100 to 250 a year, and you're giving me 100 a month, that's a different conversation. And so like class always comes into the conversation because yeah, maybe he was taking advantage of the fact that he was a doctor, but then you're also taking advantage of the fact that you have money.
Yeah.
So it just really depends on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
They're both to blame though.
I think both of them, yeah.
She was talking about you earlier today.
Always
I
give
know,
it
I
to
almost forgot. I was like, oh shit, let me get online really quick.
It's Tuesday. What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, Nikki doesn't remind me anymore.
Look, we got the same notifications, ma'am.
It doesn't even come up on my newsfeed at all. Like, I'm a part of the group, but I have to literally go and look at the page. Like, I have to go and
you gotta
search
pump
for
them
it.
algorithms back up. They'll do that too.
Yeah, it
No,
doesn't
that
show
happens.
up
That
at
happens
all.
on a
So
regular
I'm like,
basis.
That's weird because I do the highlight thing and I do the everyone thing, so it sends everybody the notice. But I don't,
It
I
ain't
don't,
going to everybody.
I don't
Don't
like to be
trust that.
bothering folks. But
If you ain't paying,
Tuesday ain't changed.
if you
You
ain't
gotta start
paying, then it
DMing
ain't
folks.
popping up.
That's what I did.
Yep.
Anna.
yeah, she did. And did.
I'm glad you're here.
And I'm good with the air mattress, babes.
Come through.
Diddy. Who's to blame?
What's the scenario? You got to be clear because this is a lot of
right. It's all over
the
this whole situation. Who was to blame for this whole situation?
Q. You got to give us specifics. There's too much going on with this to blanket this one. You can't do that.
No, I'll tell you. Okay, listen. I want it to be general because I want you to. I want each of you to take it how you view it from the angle. So I'll just start with myself. First of all, I think the government was to blame on this. They overcharged him and they were reaching for things that they shouldn't have been reaching for. Don't try to get somebody on racketeering and you ain't what's the racketeering and the whole what's the RICO charges and all that, and you haven't presented not one other co-conspirator on a RICO charge. Like, what were you even doing? RICO charge is supposed to be an organized group of individuals plotting for some type of crime, and they didn't come up with anybody else outside of Diddy. So you overcharged them. You shouldn't have did that. And you it was some real slick ish that you tried to do. You tried to use trafficking. You charged him with trafficking, and you used him being a shitty boyfriend and a woman beater as your prosecution, when the truth is that has nothing to do with trafficking. But you figured if we could show how terrible of a person he is, then we can still get him on these trumped up charges, which was wrong again. So this whole situation, I blame the federal government on that first, because they was reaching for something that they really didn't have. Now, of course, I blame Diddy just for being a terrible person. I blame him for being a woman beater. I blame him for when you are that type of person and you put yourself in those type of predicaments to where you could have been in jail for a long, long time if some of the people didn't see through it. I give Cassie some blame too. It wasn't. She was also organizing some of these parties. Now, since she testified on the prosecution side, then they agreed that they weren't going to go after her on any of these things. But she clearly gave several admissions that she was a co-conspirator on these things. She was calling up the escorts, men and women, and getting them to come to these places. She was an organizer of these things as well, not just when he proposed it, but she even initiated these ideas at times as well. So she don't get off either. Some of those assistants, they don't get off either. They were in his pockets, and some of the people who are trying to testify against him are still getting their bills paid by him to this very day. So yes, a whole lot of blame to go around on that. But I start with this case itself. I blame the government on that because this shouldn't have been what it was. That's me, but somebody else can jump in.
Nobody else?
I have a hard time
Okay, I
placing
was trying to
blame. Go
unmute.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Anna, because I have a hard time placing blame in this situation.
Oh, for me, I feel like it was a diversion. Like, I feel like it was just somebody had to take over everyone's mind, and it just happened to be Diddy's turn. And then everything else with the government kind of slid underneath our radar because we're so focused on Diddy. I think that whose fault was it? Ultimately ours for feeding into it and not waking up and realizing that hello, this was a diversion. What's the real reason that they're bringing this out? And then two, whose fault is it? Everyone's. They all took part in it. They're all getting paid for it. It is a performance. Like and I didn't even follow it. I should not even be talking about the subject because I did not follow all of it at all. I just know bits and pieces of it. But what I do know is that everyone in that room was willing to do and knew what was going on. They partook in it willingly. He apparently, like, if I'm not mistaken, he set it up as a whole like video scene where they were taking videos and pictures and making it seem like he could drop it in a video of his, like a music video type of thing. Like, and then when it gets to the, let's just say, the naughty parts, like, wasn't he conducting a porno ultimately?
That he was filming
Yeah, he
sexual
was
acts
filming.
taking place. Yeah,
He was filming.
So my whole thing is, I don't know. When you say porno, this is the part I don't know. If you're not filming for the purpose of selling or redistributing it, then I don't know if it qualifies as a porno or not. It may or may not. I'm just not sure. So I don't know.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with it afterwards, because that's still up in the air, right? Like, that's still.
Well, I mean, if some of these things were done in 2017, 18, and they haven't, I don't think, even if he was threatening to put that out, they weren't shooting it for the purpose of.
No, they weren't
putting it out there.
But who does?
I don't know if that qualifies as a porno. I'm not saying it's not. I just don't know I don't know what rules can constitute something saying, hey, you made a.
Because in that case, like, we watch, like, and I'm not saying but I'm saying, like, there are snuff films that constitute as pornos where they're like literally, gagging and beating and all of these things, and you can watch this on, you know what I mean? Am I not tripping? Am I tripping?
No, like, you're not tripping.
Yeah, different kinks that call for different things.
For different
folks. Yeah.
So I mean, pornography is a grand scheme of things. And I don't know. For me, I think that all of them, it was a collective thing. I think that I believe that you're right. The government did have a lot to do with it, for diversion reasons. Um, who's to blame? All of them. They all took part in it. They all made money off of it. They're still, like you said, they're still making money off of it. So I don't know. That's my take.
Nikki,
I mean,
you doing?
I'm very passionate about this particular topic. So, without having to go into, just the loudness that generally takes place when this conversation happens in person. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago at our last in person, and I think for me the biggest issue with the whole entire thing is, and I agree with you, Q, to a certain extent. Obviously, there's too much happening at one time, so there's not a bona fide way to streamline and stay on target, on topic, to stay where people need to stay so we can go, right? I think a lot of things are wrong. I think that Diddy was a scapegoat for, a lot of white men who are not being prosecuted. I think that Diddy is a scapegoat for a lot of, billionaires. I think Diddy is a scapegoat. He's a black man. I mean, there's a million things that I think are also wrong, right? But I do not think Diddy is innocent in the abuses, the drugging, and the physical acts of violence that he has on people. I do not second guess that he's drugged people and taken advantage of them. This is Hollywood. That's what they do, which doesn't make it okay. But we've talked about this with Bill Cosby. We've talked about this with every man they've drugged down. I hate it's only black men that ever get in this fucking trouble, because we know they don't act alone. And I think that so often people's feelings get wrapped up in all those other pieces, when we got to bring it back to, is this man drugging and sexually assaulting people against their will? We've talked about what abuse looks like. We've talked about what happens in the mind of somebody who's abused. We talk about what happens when you're abused and you go along with what your abuser says, because this is just what you're supposed to do. I think that until you really understand what abuse actually does to a person's brain, it's really slippery slope to tell an abuse victim, well, you did it, so you must be complicit. Does that mean that she might not be complicit? I'm not going to say that. I wasn't there and I don't know her.
Right.
But I do know what abuse looks like. I do know what mental trauma looks like. I do know what being scared of men looks like. I do know what being a woman with a vagina feels like. I do know what being around powerful people feels like. And I ain't never been around a bunch of billionaires like that. So I can only fucking imagine the fear and the intimidation that's involved in some of those situations. Then you have the excitement. Then you have the money. Then you have, I'm a celebrity too. Like, I'm trying to grow my brand. I think there's so many things wrong. I think Hollywood is to blame. Then I think that Diddy definitely has his share of culpability in whatever it was that took place for him to get the light shined on him in this. Could the state have overreached? Absolutely. Maybe that was part of the plan. I don't know. I don't believe shit anymore that happens in court. Not from prosecutors, not from defense attorneys, not from fucking judges, not from witnesses. I don't believe nothing anymore. But I don't believe that it was, I don't believe that he didn't deserve to have the light shined on him. I don't think that he didn't. I don't think that he didn't deserve that. I think he absolutely deserved that. I think we needed to see him beat that girl up in the hallway on the video. I think we needed to see some of those things. But if you're a woman,
necessary.
But if you're a woman, this is every day for some of us. So I have a hard time with this conversation in particular, because I don't think you can just place blame in one place, because it's all over the place, and there are so many issues that deserve attention that get wrapped up in shit that might not really be relevant, and that's where people focus, because If I take it off of here and put it over here, then hey, maybe it didn't happen the way that they want to paint the picture. And I think it's dangerous. At the end of the day, women are not surprised.
Do you want to add anything in, Denise?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a big old blanket here, and I'm gonna say I think it's society's fault, honestly, because first of all, like I didn't follow it like that either because it was just so much stuff being said, and there was a lot of stuff regarding like sexual assault and all these like rumors of this or that stuff that hasn't been confirmed or not, and it's just being inundated with so much conversation about people being assaulted, whether it's true or not. I can't sit in that.
Right.
So I can't even tell you everything that they said was said, so I don't know. But I will say this. Um, because we live in a capitalistic society, if he really did do the things that they said he did, there were plenty of times where he could have been arrested and thrown in jail, where he probably just got a tap on the wrist or was able to pay someone off or whatever the case may be. Because who had the footage from the hotel? Who owned that footage? Who leaked it? So you've been knew about this, right? In terms of drugging people and all of that, why do drugs like that even exist? And what reason are there for there to be date rape drugs? Why are they so readily available? Where are people getting these things from? There must be a really big industry for it, because I mean, if anything should be treated like crack, it should be a date rape drug. You never hear like, oh, there's a date rape drug and somebody got X amount of times for selling that shit. You never even hear about it. So just even the fact that there's access to this, and there's not even a big deal about there being access to this, and there's no war on date rape drugs, is absurd to me, right? Then we have this thing where it's like you got these two people who are in a relationship, and it just feels like you're just watching like kind of how like when people get divorced and everybody's just throwing shit on the wall to make the other one look however kind of way. And that just seems very personal. And it's hard to really want to interject in like domestic issues where you in feelings and emotions where you don't know what. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we've seen him abuse her, and that is very wrong. That's one of many fights. That's one of several fights that those two have had, and
That's
so
what Daddy always said. This is the one you got caught for.
that's the one you got caught for.
That's the one you got caught for.
And let me tell you, at some point you start hitting first too. So there's a lot of this, a whole lot of when you in a toxic situation, it gets crazy. They'll bring some stuff out of you that you didn't even think you would do. So it's just like, with that being said, like, does that mean you got to go to jail for the RICO and all this other stuff? Does that prove that? No, it doesn't. So again, you have the prosecutor doing all these things, and it's like, what are you actually trying to do? What is your goal as the prosecutor in this scenario? Are you just trying to get him to go to jail? Are you trying to prove that he actually broke the law? What is the purpose of this prosecution if you're bringing these things to the table that you can't prove? So what are we doing? Are we just trying to discredit his name at this point? Are we just trying to distract the public?
Build a name for yourself.
Build a name for yourself so you can be the person that they call when it comes to the like Tony Busby. Like what is the
even to this day, we know who Johnny Cochran is, we know who Marsha Clark is, We know who Chris Darden is. If you get on the right trial at the right time, then your name gonna live on forever.
Right.
Want to get them?
And to Anna's point, a lot of people are benefiting from this monetarily, because I would love to run the numbers on how much it costs to run these court sessions. Right. I would like to see the line items on that for everybody involved.
It's all on his bill. It's all on his bill.
I would like to see how much the advertisers are putting on the news commercials when they're reporting. I want to know how much an ad cost in the middle of a report when you're doing a report on Diddy. I want to know. It's a lot of people making a lot of money off of this situation. And unfortunately, the things that actually matter are being lost. So what it all boils down to is capitalism, because nobody cares as long as everybody's making money. And that's sad.
Let me ask y'all, I need to ask y'all a question. And this is really, go ahead, Nikki.
I just want to interject really quick at the end, and then you can go on. And this is why women don't tell. This is why women don't tell.
That's so true.
So keep your fucking mouth closed. If ever you find yourself uttering the words, well, why did she wait so long to tell? Why didn't you tell somebody? Did you call the police? Did you go to court and get a restraining order? If you find yourself mouthing those words, put your whole fist down your throat, because this is why women don't. Who the fuck we gonna tell? Who gonna
Why is why? Are you using this case to say this is why women don't tell?
Certainly, this and a variety of other cases, but this the most recent one that is like, well, this is why. This is why women don't say shit.
Okay, hold on, I really want to ask a question. Go ahead,
sure.
Denise.
I want to say, like, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think Cassie wanted to do any of this in terms of testifying and going through the whole rigmarole. I don't think she actually wanted to do that. If I'm being real, I think that she was put in a position to where they're like, look, now that we have this thing going on, and we know that you also helped do X, Y, and Z, we need this from
immunity by
right?
You
because this isn't even Cassie's case. With her case, she got her money. She settled. She went to court. They did right by her. She got her money. She went on with her life. That was it. I don't even think she was doing her interviews. She put out her one statement. She was going on with life. I don't think this was her choice.
Federal government bring you in, then you got to testify.
Then you got to do what you got to do. I don't even think she wanted to do this. Why would she? As a pregnant woman, why would she want to sit in court and rehash and relive things and sit from across from her ex, whom I'm pretty sure she still cares for in some capacity? You don't, while your husband's there and all this stuff is being said, because this is the other thing. Not only were they dragging him through the mud to drag him through the mud, she had to get dragged through the mud a little bit too. There was some stuff revealed about her too. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't about her. The people who brought this case, they don't care about women. This isn't about women. This has nothing to do with women. This has nothing to do with protecting women. This is about some other motive that has zero to do with that. Because if it had anything to do with that, that would be the focus. But it wasn't.
Well, was he not charged? Was he not on trial for trafficking, sex trafficking?
He was on trial for sex trafficking.
Yeah, it very much had a lot to do with protecting women and just hearing what a woman may have to say in regards to the experience that would have allowed one to be trafficked. I don't know.
So this is why I say that. If you know you can prove it, you won't. If you're patient and you're not just so antsy to get a case and be in this high profile case, you will wait until you can prove that a person is trafficked. You're not going to jump on it before then, because what is it, like double jeopardy or something? I don't even know if it's double jeopardy, but I don't think, can they try to bring these charges against him again? I mean, maybe with a new group of people or something like that.
You can only do it. You can do it civilly. If you get charged in criminal court, you can get charged civilly again. That's how they got OJ. He got off criminally. and then they retry them from a civil. And
Mhm.
civil, you don't
Yeah.
do any jail time. It's just you. If they
Monetary.
can find you guilty, yeah, monetary. You got to pay money. That's all.
This is a federal case.
Right.
This is a federal
So
case.
they can't
And
charge him for that
you
same, and unless there's different or new evidence, then they can charge him with new evidence, but they can't use any of the old stuff that he's already been acquitted for.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I just don't, I feel like they threw that in there to make other people care, but I don't think they actually cared about women. That's just my
No,
personal
yeah, no,
opinion.
and I
They're just
think
like,
that
we're gonna
was
throw this out here. We're gonna get people enraged, but you don't really care because if you did, you would come with the evidence. I would be quiet until I knew. I'm gonna, no, we need to build
they
this up.
wanted
Ain't
to
gonna be
try
no
him
arrest.
in the court of public opinion. They wanted to say, once we get you in here, we can show how horrible of a person that you are, and that way, if people really don't like you, then they'll convict you. Just because they don't like you, not because of the actual evidence in association with the charge. If we don't like you, then we'll just say you're guilty. I have a question. I want to ask a question. And this, when I'm asking this question, I really don't know the answer to it. So that's why I'm asking you three women to get your side of it. So something that happened in this trial that takes me back, and not only in this trial specifically, but I've heard it in other instances too. So a part of that, they had an accusation of rape on there. I don't know if I should be saying that, the R word on there for
Right.
they close us
Right.
off.
Sexual assault or something, maybe.
Which I hate that term too, because that's so vague. I
Yeah,
just say
it's
the R word.
blanket. Yeah,
You can
yeah.
call it grape. You call it grape. Everybody knows what grape means. You can call it
So
grape.
You know what? You know why I hate that? Because like years from now, when people look back on that, I'm like, will they understand what we were talking about?
I agree. I call it what it
And
is,
right,
but
I
I
don't
was
I
you know
gonna
don't
how
say
want
the
them
same
to.
thing.
censorship
Why
is.
not call it what it is? If you don't like it, then
Censorship.
don't do
Just
it.
censorship. Just our
Yeah.
ability to stay online. Just censorship.
Yes.
That's all. Because we
Mhm.
don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're trying to stay on as long as we can. We know we're gonna get cut off one day, but we try.
Looking at you.
Trust me, we are.
That's when
Stop.
we
But
just go
anyway,
to
so,
Discord.
so let me get to the point that I was saying. So there was an accusation after I guess they had broken up, and she met back up with him again, and then she said at that time then she was forced, and then that's where the accusation of the R word came in at. And I'm like, hey, well, he need to get that's a whole different thing that needs to be looked into. But then this is the other part though. After that accusation of that incident, she got back with him on several occasions after that. That's the part that throws me off. Now, y'all women, y'all help me understand a little bit different, because even if I'm thinking a certain type of way, when I hear that after that alleged incident, you go back and you continue to have sexual relationships with this person, it takes in my opinion, it muddies the water, or it takes away something. I can't say that it didn't happen, but it does put questions in my mind. Like, if it really happened the way that you said it happened, why would you go back and continue? Like, how could you go back and have relationships with a person that forced themselves on you at one point in time? I don't get that. Some y'all help me with that, because that's the part I don't get, and that's the part where Dave Chappelle talk about you turn to a victim blamer. Those are the type of incidents that borderline will turn me into a victim blamer on things like that.
Quick
Help
plug,
me with something.
we're actually going to do a gender swap next week where we're going to be actually putting each other in these scenarios where we will act as if we were another gender, and what will we do in these scenarios. Quick plug. Okay, but back
Okay.
to you, Q.
Oh
Or
yeah.
Anna, if you were going to answer this question.
Well, I can speak from experience. And I say that um I I don't know if I should say that, but it is what it is.
That's right.
Um um my ex-husband raped me while we were married. Um we were in a fight. Um and he just literally stripped me naked and fucked the shit out of me while I was screaming no and to stop and all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, I was still married to him, right? We still had a kid together. Well, we were having a kid together. I was pregnant at the time. And so, I mean, it happens more times than we want it to, with people that we trust, that we love. And that's what messes it up, muddies the waters for us. Just like
Yeah.
it muddies the waters for you when you can't understand it. Shit, we can't fucking understand it either. Because at the one time we sitting here screaming bloody murder that this man is killing, literally taking advantage of us. And then the next minute we're just like, wait a minute, but he loves me, right? I love him, right? Well, and then you start thinking, well, if he's a good provider, well, he does provide. He's a good dad. Maybe this was just the one time thing. Maybe like me, you start to give him excuses as to why he messed with you in the first place. you know so
Mm-hmm.
just as it's muddy for you to wrap your mind around it, it's 10 times, even maybe sometimes 100 times worse for us, because we're in the situation and we don't even know really at one point in time, like we don't even know that we're in that situation.
First, I want to say thank you, Anna, for being so transparent and open. You do not have to do that. And I can't skate past that. I want to say I appreciate you for that because that takes a lot of bravery. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are watching this who maybe went through the same thing or who are like Q and don't understand quite like how that could happen. So the fact that you're sharing your story, you're helping so many people right now. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But it's true, Q, like you being in a situation where you're being abused of any sort as a woman, especially if it's a person you love, it's very different to go back to if a stranger did something to you.
Right.
But when it's someone you know, there is that confusion of love there. So you have fond feelings for them and you know they have fond feelings for you, but they've done something to you to hurt you. And so even though you may be hurt by what they did, sometimes when a woman loves so hard, it might hurt her more to think about leaving. Then when you
Right.
add again, we start adding in the issue of class and being able to provide for yourself and just thinking like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I have nothing. And you have all of that going on in your head at one time. And you might just be in denial because who wants to accept that?
Right.
How do you like really process that this person did this to me that I thought would never do something like this to me?
Mhm.
And so to Anna's point, your waters are muddy. So you don't even know what's going on. And so you could go back to that. And who knows to say like if all of this didn't happen and she wasn't married and didn't find someone who loved her properly, that she wouldn't still be back in it. Like that's how deep
Mm-hmm.
this stuff goes.
Let me
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you this. If you were
Mm-hmm.
on the jury and the part of that story um turned out the way that we explained it, would that take some of the sting off of it? The sting off of it for any of you?
The
Like
sting
for
off of what?
like when they say, "Hey, the R word happened to me," and this is what happened. In this situation, we were in a relationship, and then after a relationship, then they forced themselves upon me. And then later we got back together and we still continued. Like, does the fact that they continued in a relationship after that incident, if you were a jury member and someone's life was on your hands as far as what this accusation was, would that take the sting off? Would it change anything? Would it put any doubt in your head? Would it I'm wondering. That's just what I'm
I
wondering.
think for a man's perspective, because like women are more, we lead more towards our emotional side, and men lead towards the logical side. I think that in that type of situation, as a jury, like depending on if my role was the woman, then hell no, I would be like, damn, poor baby. Like, I can't believe that she had to sit there and endure that shit for as long as that she did. And how many times did he rape her over and over or take advantage of her over and over again? Like, it doesn't matter in an argument. But then I get where you're trying to say, like, as far as like the sting can come off. But I think the only time that I think that a sting would be taken off is in a man's logical mind, because you're thinking like logically, like, this chick went back, so obviously there was something that was right about the situation, or that she wanted in the situation to make her go back to it. That's a man's logic. Women's logic is like, dang, she's really emotionally, like trapped in that situation, because we A, may have been in that situation, or B, have had female friends that were in that situation, and we're more empathetic. Does that make sense? So
Um,
no, I don't
it
think for
no,
women it
I
would take
mean
off
it
the
does
sting.
in
No.
certain ways it does make sense, but in certain ways it
So to
um
answer your
mm.
question directly, no, for me, it would not take off the sting. In my emotional mind. Now, if roles were reversed, maybe I could see your point of view. Like, I could see where it would be like, oh well, they went back, so it must not been that bad. You know?
All right, I'm gonna jump in. Consider yourself really, really, really lucky, Q, that you don't understand how this works.
Right.
Be fortunate that in your spirit, in your life, in your childhood, in your relationships, that you don't know what this looks like, what abuse looks like, what sexual abuse looks like, what physical abuse looks like. I'm not talking about, oh, you just a punk ass bitch and I hate your guts. No, no, no. Be glad that you don't know what abuse looks like, because what people don't realize, and I think that often, that doesn't mean that men are not abused, because men are abused. That doesn't mean women are not perpetrators, because they are perpetrators too. But generally, abuse is an issue of control. Whether it's you have no control at all, actually. So I have to insert my dominance, my strength, my loudness, my ability to hold you and you can't get out of my grips, to corner you into a room that you can't leave, to pin you down and say, you're my wife. This is legal. This isn't rape if you're my wife. I'm glad that you don't know what that looks like. Because to those that know exactly what that looks like, there's no muddy. There's no gray. There's no misunderstanding how women go back to their abuser, how women go back to men who damn near kill them. It's not about, oh, I should just leave and go start over and be happy and safe. If it was that easy, my God, we wouldn't have abused women. We wouldn't have abused people, period. You wouldn't have women being killed every single day by their partners. We could safely get out and be safe. But oftentimes in dynamics of control, which, how is a billionaire man not the controlling factor in this equation? He is the control. You can't tell him no. And if you tell me no, I'm either one, going to take it, or I'm two, going to get it from somewhere else. So in my beat up ass mind, I guess I better give it to you then. I don't want you to leave me. I don't want you to throw me away. I don't want to be damaged goods. You fucked my head up so bad. I probably didn't have boundaries to begin with. I probably was codependent to begin with. I probably had some childhood traumas like a motherfucker to begin with that allow me to be with somebody who has shown me they don't love me. But somehow I said, well, but you said that you did, so you must. And sometimes you love me, so I'm going to go with the sometimes that you love me, so that means love. I'm going to go with after you beat me up, you buy me flowers and a new car, and you take me on vacation, and you give me lots and lots and lots of money. To somebody who's been physically and sexually and emotionally abused, unfortunately, they're easy. We're easy fucking targets until you've decided that I've had enough. And enough sometimes is death. Enough sometimes is fucking protective custody. Enough sometimes is I'm going to go get a firearm and I'm going to learn how to shoot it because the protective order doesn't work and the judge lets you out and the probation officer doesn't give a fuck and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I don't want to just say nobody cares about just women, because I'm sure men feel like nobody cares about them too sometimes. But like I said to you at our last Free Thinkers Q, at the end of the day, I could kill you. Sure, I could shoot you. I could drive my car over you. Like, I could probably kill you if I really wanted to. But you could kill me with your bare fucking hands, and I can't stop you. Not without a weapon. Most men are larger in size than most women. And a big ass fucking dominant, abusive man ain't gonna pick no big ass China looking WWF chick. He's gonna get a bitch he can toss around. Predators and prey, it's the same space. It's the same space. And I appreciate the question, because I know that a lot of people ask that question, but it grinds my spirit as a woman, as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, as a sister, that it needs an answer. That people don't just get it. But I guess if you don't know, then you don't know. And this is why women don't tell. This is why we stay. This is why we have to teach our children a lot better, so that we don't see them make the same mistakes. But generally, the cycle continues to repeat because we don't usually fucking leave, or it's too late. That is why Cassie stayed. That is why Cassie went back. That is why she participated in the charades, in the bullshit. Most abused women do. They do. That's what abuse is.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm gonna say this too, like with free thinkers, y'all. This is the kind of conversation that we have to get into, and it's important that we're real about our answers, and it's important that we're brave with our questions. Because Q, that's a hard question to ask.
Yes.
You know, and Nikki and Anna, like those are not easy questions to answer.
Yeah.
And I think, like in this situation, like maybe Q, you can't put yourself in these shoes exactly, but I'm sure you have had been mistreated before, you know, and maybe it's not as extreme as this, but you've probably been mistreated before. You've probably been emotionally or verbally abused in some sense before, and maybe have made excuses for that person or tried to stay and tried to work it out. And those things may not be as extreme as that, but it just goes back to what Anna said. You don't really know how bad it is when you're in it until you get out of it and you're like, ah, that was crazy. You know?
Listen, I didn't realize how bad it was, and while I was in it either. I didn't until I started getting therapy back in like 2018, 2019. I didn't realize how fucked up my life really was. Like how like people would look at me and be like, "Damn, you really went through that shit?" And really they, like honestly had me questioning like, "Damn, did I?" Well, yeah, I know I did, but sometimes it's so damn unbelievable for somebody to have went through some of the shit that you go through and not to look like what you've been through.
Yeah.
And that's a God thing. That's a God thing for me, because if I were to look like what I've been through, I'd look like hell right now, honestly. But
Mhm. It's that Tupac quote, diet inside, but outside you looking fearless. I always resonate with that, you know, that natural inclination to be like, I'm not gonna wear it on me, and I think that makes it hard for people to see too, because some people they wear their trauma on them. It's in their body language, it's how they talk. It's all over them. And some people just, and that's probably because they come from a family of shrugging it off and all right, we gotta continue on and move forward. So yeah,
Mhm.
you can't always see abuse on somebody and that mistreatment on somebody. Sometimes you can when you look in those eyes. Your eyes really say everything, but sometimes you just can't see it.
And what you need to consider in abusive dynamics is that we get good at faking it for everybody. Always.
Mhm.
We have to. Whether it's putting on makeup to cover up bruises or making sure we have long shirts so that you don't see the bruises that have been grabbed on your fucking arms, like you get you get used to it, right? I remember once we were having a family photo session done on one afternoon. My daughter remembers this vividly. She goes, "I've never seen somebody look like nothing ever happened quite like you." That's not fucking something to be proud of, but it's a place that I know I've been, and there's reasons why we do what we do.
hmm
We have to make it look good. We can't let you know that it's bad, and it isn't always bad. You could have 11 months of fucking beauty. The last month is shit. You will hang on to those 11 for 10 fucking years to get you through that last month
hmm
because you have good memories. I'm sure Cassie and Diddy had great fucking time. Maybe they were the freakiest of freakies and they got to do all of those things. They got to explore things. They got to do drugs. They got to go places. They probably had some really good times. I had phenomenal times with my abuser. But we learn how to live in the dysfunction if we choose to stay. So it doesn't always look bad. It doesn't look like I hate you all the time. Because really, I actually fucking love you, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I wish I hated you. Hating you would be so much fucking easier. But that's not how abuse works. And I realize that not all women have experienced abuse. I realize not all men have experienced abuse. But hearing the feedback of things that were said about that in particular, oh, well, she participated, so she's willing. I had to get off of social media. I really did. I fuck around with my Instagram more than I fuck around with Facebook, but I had to get off of Facebook for a while because I was about to unfriend a majority of the fucking men that I consider people that I do like. And not because I think that Diddy wasn't a scapegoat, because I do think to some degree he was. I very much do. But this was not about that. This was about the mindset of an abused woman and a powerful man who could buy anything and anyone any day of the week, which is probably why he also got off. He got a list like Epstein got a list. They can't let that shit get out. But abuse is a nasty thing. It really is. It's tricky, it's conniving, it's deceptive, it's manipulative. I still get people today who will say things like, y'all are so, y'all look so cool together. Everything's just so cool. Y'all just cool. Y'all just cool. Y'all just cool. Y'all just so cool. Y'all just so cool. For this amount of time, because I'm not scared anymore. This is my fucking house.
That's right.
I'm not scared anymore. And I either one will kill you today,
That part.
or you will go to jail. And you don't want either one of those two. So let's just be cool. But that should last forever. That should last forever.
That shit does. I get the same. Well, before my daughter passed away, he was here too. Like, and I only did that because of my kid. Because I didn't want. I don't know. Honestly, to be honest, I wish I would have done that differently too.
Of course.
I wish I would have taken my baby and never looked back at these people. But you're right. That shit lives with you forever. Even though my kid isn't here, those are lessons that I will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one of my neighbors one Thanksgiving, his sister came over. He was here. His roommates were here. Like, we were having a nice little time, and my neighbor came over and he was like, "Man, y'all look like a nice little, y'all. I ain't never seen an ex-wife and her ex-husband so chill, talking and chilling, y'all. This shit's cool, And I was like, yeah, it wasn't always like this though. And I was like, and he knows, because before anything happened, the last time he put his hands on me, I was about to kill him. And that's why I had to leave, because I was about to kill him.
And my thing about that, Anna, I don't know about you, but my thing about that is, why do women have to
wait till that long?
Why do we have to do that to make you stop?
Right.
Why is that the only way to make you stop doing something? Because nothing else is working.
Oh, he didn't even. Oh, I was gonna kill that motherfucker to sleep. He didn't even know.
I can answer that question without being a woman, though. That's the way of life.
Yeah, he didn't even know I was gonna kill him. I had to.
What I'm saying is, your bosses, your employers, people who you think friends, people who you think family members, anybody with a unrighteous mindset will walk all over you and trample you to the ground unless you stand up for yourself. And that's one of the things that men, most of us, learned at an earlier age. Either you stand up for yourself or you will get trounced over for the rest of your life. And that's it's not just a woman thing. Men will dominate other men. They'll bully you and beat you up and say, are you going to stand up for yourself or are you not?
But in a relationship dynamic, there's something that's different, right, than in a platonic type of situation. In a relationship dynamic,
really not. In that case, it's really not. You have there's certain women that you have from day one. The very first time he tried to say something covertly sideways slick. What you say? Were you referring that to me when you said that? Yeah, no, I don't play that. Don't ever come at me like that again.
Oh yeah, today me
is I'm going to excuse myself now, and I might call you back later.
Yeah, today me is not the same Nikki that was, from 2000 and 1996.
It depends on the learning curve. Some people have that learning curve where they have to learn it through a relationship. Some people, that's been ingrained in them since day one.
Right.
And from the very jump, the moment they try some slick stuff, they get checked immediately. And they don't try that same stuff with those people.
Checking don't mean nothing with some of them, honey. Let me tell you.
Because I did that too.
You can check them if you want to, and they'll just get more egregious. Yeah, then y'all just both in there. Y'all just both in there going crazy.
No,
So we
That
fight.
don't stop some
Now
people
we
just because
fight.
you said something. Now we're fighting because now you're in my face
no, we're
and
not.
I'm in yours because you're
No,
playing with me.
no.
Now,
See, you
now, this is when it's really gonna go down because you don't like that I'm talking to you like that. You don't like that I'm calling you out. You don't like that these things are happening. So it ain't nothing that I just defended myself. That ain't stopping you from doing nothing. If you're an abuser, you will proceed past me
no, you
checking
won't.
you.
No, you won't.
Shit.
No, you won't. You
I've seen
see,
it.
no,
I've seen it, Q.
I'm I'm about to tell you why you're wrong. The fact that you stayed in the same room or presence with this person that you're supposed to be checking, that's the misstep right there. I'm telling you, for people who don't tolerate that stuff, you can't stay in the same room as me. One of us about to leave, and if you don't leave right now, then I'm gone. Not only do I not tolerate disrespect, I won't even share the same space with you.
Agree.
And trust me, I have a wide array of friends. I know the ones who let too much stuff go and they try to keep working. And I know people who be like, oh no, you leave now. You're not leaving, I'm gone. Bye. You'll never talk to me like that and share the same space with me. And so what I'm saying is you won't get in those type of situations with people like that if you don't allow yourself to stay in that space. If you think you're gonna argue somebody down and go back and forth, that's two different things.
See, I agree. And then here's another thing though. Like I didn't realize that
Right.
it was happening when it was happening because
Right.
I'll tell you this, my best friend back in the day, like before I even met my ex-husband, he was my best friend then too. And like when I got with my ex-husband, when I, like my ass was 2 times my size because he done beat the shit out of me, I would go to my best friend. And it was confusing to him because he was like, I have never in my life have seen you allow somebody to treat you or talk to you outside of their neck. Like I can't even utter the word "be" to you without you even looking
Mhm.
at me like you finna kill me if I even try to play with you that way. So why did you even let him go there with you? And that's still a question I cannot answer till this day because I don't know what it was about him, about the situation, because it didn't start off like that. Just like for you,
Never.
it didn't start off like that.
Never.
It never starts off
No,
like
never.
that. Never.
Right.
This motherfucker greasing my scalp and reading books and driving, like all type,
Writing poetry and all kind of stuff.
Bro.
like and then it just changes, and then you don't. Like it doesn't start off in especially in intimate relationships, it definitely doesn't start off like that. Maybe let me tell you, any three of us, if it started off like that, we would have ended it right then and there. But it never starts off that way. It starts off gradual, and then people are so quick to be like, well, you knew what you got yourself into when you got.
Ooh,
No, the fuck I didn't.
predatory. It's a
No, I
predator.
didn't.
They're predators. That's what
See,
they do.
but that's one of the things where I keep saying I operate off of principles. And so even for me, you having a bad day does not excuse disrespect. You can have the worst day in the world, you're not gonna cuss at me. I don't care how bad of a day you had.
True.
I'm saying principles. You will always speak to me with a certain level of respect. I don't care how mad you are. Now, if you got to shut up and go to another room, whatever, so be it. I don't like that either, but it's better you're not going to disrespect me. So you could have just got done rubbing my hair, rubbing my feet, doing everything. And then if you turn around and you call me out my name or you say something sly, it's going to get addressed immediately. And there has to be a consequence from that. You can't share the same space with me right now. So that's what I'm saying. The gradual stuff, most of the time, those gradual things happen. We give people passes. Oh, they were having a bad day. Oh, they boss said something to them. Oh, they sister sick or something like. None of that. None of those things give you a pass for crossing the lines of respect. And if you keep principles in mind, then you don't let people massage their poison into your relationship. over time and subtle because you gave it a pass this one time because it was this situation. I don't give a damn. Listen, ain't nobody had more anger issues than me growing up. And if I can control my tongue and my mouth and the way I say things, even when I'm boiling with rage inside, then I expect the same from you too. You ain't gonna talk to me crazy.
And there's nothing wrong with what you said. I agree 100%. I thoroughly agree. You know, this guy that I was dealing with off and on for years over the last couple of years, he used to say in the beginning, he's like, "You are a runner." He said, "You will leave at anything that you don't like." Absolutely, because I didn't before. I stayed way too long. Yeah. Way too long. Today, oh no. So it's unfortunate that usually we have to go through something, obviously, right, to learn these things that we need to learn. Which, so back to placing blame. You know, I definitely have responsibility and accountability to the duration of the relationship that I lasted in, right? Like, but you it's very easy to be manipulated in abusive relationships, right? So when one source says, well, you don't leave your relationship until you've done everything you can do to leave it, right? Well, you're like, okay, well, let's go get therapy. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Like, because I love you. Like, I swear I fucking love you. Like, I love you all the way to my bones. Like, so let's fix it. But when you only know what you know. I was fucking 20 years old. I was young. I thought I knew some shit, but I didn't know some shit. I learned some shit. I learned a whole lot of shit. I learned some shit I never wanted to fucking know. But I'm glad that I experienced everything that I experienced because I love who the fuck I am today. And I love how I've raised my children. I love the type of daughter that I've raised. I hate the things I've had to go through, but it makes me understand people more. It makes me understand hurt people more. It makes me understand the whys behind why trauma does what it does. And like I said to Denise earlier today on Facebook, healing out loud means somebody else might not have to suffer in silence. So if that was my purpose, I'm okay with that. Because 1, I'm alive, 2, I'm all right, and 3, you can't fuck with me today. And I didn't think that you could then. But I know that the love dynamic in a toxic situation with the fucking predator who might not even know they're a predator. Mm-hmm. They're just responding to the things based off of the environment and the normalization of things that they learned growing up to. I know what that looks like today. And unfortunately, you don't get that until you don't get that from somebody else. You can't learn that lesson from somebody else. Usually, you can judge somebody else, but that's the last thing that you should do because you really don't know. So I hated to see people put blame on her because I knew at the end of the day, her dynamic with that man was an abusive relationship. And that,
you know what I learned, like I will say in my lifetime is maybe 2%. When it comes to behavioral stuff like that, 2% maybe is actually authentic. So when somebody crazy, 2% probably are actually crazy for real.
Yeah, mine was.
The rest of them be fronting because the thing is, if you not gonna be crazy with everybody, you ain't really crazy. You just selective. Crazy. You know you pick and choose who you would do it with, and like that's like a lot of bullies that you will run across. They pick on certain people, but when the right person came along, then they wouldn't have that same energy for them. There's very few people that I met like, oh no, I don't care how big you are, small you are, old you are, I stay my same level of crazy. Only few people in this world that I've known like that. Most of them switch up. As much as she thinks she can't hold her mouth and she got to say what she got to say, she don't act like that with her boss. It's a very small percentage of people who actually can't control their mouth or really can't control their emotions, or they really that crazy. If you you're gonna be like that with everybody. When you can pick and choose, and then you can withhold when you feel like you're not really crazy. You're just an opportunist. The 98% of people I realize are opportunists on some level.
Kim, I have a question.
Sure.
A guy said this to me once. The guy that had the kid on me. We were kind of like going back and forth, right? And I was talking about how I felt and how hurt I was about the situation. And then I was like, you want me to put up with X, which is you had a kid on me.
Mhm.
And now I'm acting out for whatever reason. I have my feelings and things that I'm going through. This man responded to me, well, I told this to somebody else before, but that's because I have more boundaries than you, which then made me go, oh my God. But then it made me go, do men have more boundaries than women?
Do men have more boundaries
It
than
seemed like
women?
y'all would put up with less from a woman than we would put up with from y'all. It seems like women would put up with more from men than men would be willing to put up with from women. So I like.
That's interesting. I think in a lot of cases, well, not necessarily men have more boundaries. Men will put up with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't they say that most divorces are initiated by women?
Probably.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, but I would guess so. Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm not a man, so I can only say what I feel like I've learned from other men is most men will actually tolerate a bunch of fucking bullshit. They really will
Yeah.
over their
Yeah.
woman. I mean, I think everybody has their, their breaking points, obviously, right? Their deal breakers. But like, I feel like the feedback I've kind of gotten in those types of dynamics and conversation scenarios is more men being like, but I also feel like those men also found another woman outside of their woman.
Right. And
Even though
that's
they
what
say
that
they don't.
you saying
But
exactly what
they
I was
just
about to
doing
say.
their thing. Yeah,
Basically,
So
exactly.
what
they
it
just go
is,
get another one.
so it's kind of like, yeah, men will, you can argue that they will tolerate, but then on the same level, like you was mentioning, maybe you can't make that argument because a lot of men, it's that passive aggressiveness stuff. Like, I'm not gonna get back in your face. I ain't gonna go back and forth with you. I ain't gonna leave you, but I'm gonna find a way to get my release. If I need some peace and I find a release, I'll find it somewhere else. And that's not really, you can't necessarily say that's tolerating it either, because you're
Right.
still stepping outside of your character
Right.
and your own boundaries in order to supposedly keep the peace or maintain a relationship, and that's not. So I don't know.
Because a woman will say and be faithful and be getting messed over and be faithful still.
You said who?
A woman. A
Some
Right.
woman will
women.
get messed over and still be faithful.
Right. So trying to figure it out, but she ain't finna step out of the relationship. No, of course, it doesn't mean all women, because we know some women cheat too.
No.
But
So what it is
Mhm.
also, okay, so now let's stop giving credit all the time. You get a little bit of credit, but not a lot of credit. You're only gonna get so much credit for resorting to your nature. And for those,
That's my point. That's where I'm getting to. Is it in
so you
whose
don't get that
nature do
much.
you think it's in to have these boundaries where they don't put up with stuff? I feel like men, it's not in
And
their
that's what I'm
nature to
saying.
accept
I
shit.
don't call that this boundary. I think for those who have a natural propensity to be monogamous, then they still can lean on that no matter what's going on. It's not hard for them to do it because it's not going against their nature. Now, if you have a man or a woman that don't have that monogamy bone, and every time for a man, every time something to happen, then they'll step out. For a woman who don't have a monogamy bone, that man could be doing everything in his power. He could be Mr. Perfect, and she's still out there. She's just gonna be
Doing
doing
that
what she's
thing.
doing regardless, because that's in her nature to do. So let's stop giving too much credit just for your you have natural guidelines that fit you naturally more than the next person. But that I don't know about.
That's
I don't know
good.
about
Cynthia,
boundaries,
boundaries are
because the same
pride.
thing. Because the thing, if you got boundaries, then how come you can't hold your tongue when you're upset? How come you can't wait till you calm? I ain't saying you. I'm just saying for the people
right.
who blowing up or whatever. How come you can't stop to organize your thoughts and emotions before you decide to speak? Those are boundaries too. And those words will burn bridges just as fast as any
Mm-hmm.
other actions. So,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on how you look at it. For some people who look at monogamy is the end all be all, and as long as he ain't cheating, then he all right, and if he is, then he terrible. Some people have different criteria.
Mm-hmm. I like the boundaries. I
I
like
don't even know if I
the
answered your question, but go ahead.
It's pride.
I had a question. And we don't have to spend a whole lot of time because I know we're pushing 10 o'clock already. But so I had notes from last week that I had written down. And if you didn't get to see last week's show, it was really good. And I do kind of want to, I kind of want to talk about it before we finish out tonight. Just like the revelation, like what's happened in 7 days, right? Since last week's conversation, and kind of where Q and I went with this in regards to the flooding and the political assassination and just the things that had taken place in the initial birth of Q and I coming up with last week's conversation. But something I wrote on my notes was, are there even truly accidents then, right? So if we're looking at placing blame, and the definition of blame, I looked up last week, the definition of blame refers to the act of holding somebody or something responsible for a fault or error or a negative outcome, right? It's assigning culpability.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking at blaming and placing blame, and we talked at the beginning of the show about do we look at ourselves when it comes to situations, do we blame everybody else? So with that being said, like, are accidents even actually accidents, right?
Yes,
Are they always accidents?
Not always, but some accidents are just accidents.
Like, can you give an example of something that is just a straight up example, no human error?
You driving down the road and you hit a water patch and you hydroplane.
Okay.
Hit the curve, hit somebody, hit another piece of property. That's okay. If you want to go take the route, well, you shouldn't have been driving in the rain. You can do that, but outside of that, then it's just an accident.
But were you driving
negligence?
Were you driving too fast?
No.
Were you driving a pickup truck that was open bed? What do your tires look like, right?
If you ever hydroplane, then sometimes
it where you hydroplane on. I mean, people don't know you're not supposed to drive like where that water part is. So it's like you still should have known like all the things you need to know about driving. You can still find a blame in that person.
And some people could, and I would say no. I would say it was just an accident.
But you don't think that's part of
the last 35 water puddles that I rolled through, I didn't hydroplane.
I feel like that's dangerous. I feel like if I don't take heed
I think it's more dangerous to place blame on everything.
Shit, I don't have to go learn my lesson if I don't take responsibility for the lesson that was given.
So if you walk outside and you walking down the sidewalk and a drunk driver hopped the curb and take you out, are you going to blame yourself that you were outside walking while there was cars outside? Like you have to draw the line on placing blame at some point.
Okay, so here's my can I and this really hits home for me on the placing blame and accidents and all that shit. Because I feel like in some ways, actually, I'm not even gonna say in some ways. I feel like in all ways, 9 times out of 10, we have this gut feeling within ourselves. No matter how small, no matter how big it is, to let us know, hey, yo, something's about to happen. Don't go this way. Don't go that way. Don't step your ass off this curb right now. And if we don't listen to ourselves, then these things happen.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like, is there accidents? No. And yes. Yes, because, shit happens and we don't listen to ourselves. Is there blame placed?
No.
We can always place blame. We can always place blames on ourselves. Like, I should have listened. Like, for me,
no,
in my case, I didn't know my daughter was pregnant. And I didn't know But in me, I knew I should have taken her to the emergency room.
No. So
No, no,
don't
no.
do that.
And
No,
I'm
listen,
not talking.
listen,
I'm
listen
not
to what
trying to
I'm
go back
saying.
to that.
No,
But I
listen to
get
what
what
I'm
you're saying.
saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't go down that road, and you shouldn't take blame to that extreme. No, I'm serious. Now, for number one, intuition, which is somewhat what you could be referring to.
Right.
That voice, everybody doesn't have the same level of intuition. Number one. Number two, that voice is it's a familiar feeling, but the voice is not necessarily a familiar voice for most people. So you can feel something, but you don't even know exactly what that feeling is saying to you. And sometimes it doesn't become evident until some out of
Yeah,
the
that's
ordinary
true.
incident happened. Then it was like something told me. Something told me, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, that's something you didn't understand what it was. So don't blame yourself for feeling intuition, because still in most cases you didn't understand what that intuition was actually saying. So
Yeah.
it's only in hindsight where it became clear to you, but you can't blame yourself for that. Now, my last point, how many times do we have these feelings and then absolutely nothing happened? See, we don't talk about the flip side of it. You know, I got a feeling, something telling me don't go out. I went out anyway, nothing happened. You know, so it's just it's the intuition is a tricky thing. I wouldn't lean too much, and I definitely wouldn't use intuition to gauge a scale of blame.
Yeah.
That's I wouldn't do that, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't blame yourself for that. And I'm gonna tell you, I have no idea,
And I
like
knew where you was
the
going. I didn't even want you to
full
get it out your mouth, Anna, because I already am like, well, where are you going with that?
right.
I don't even
Yeah.
want you to. Nope, don't go down. No,
Yeah.
no, don't take.
Especially as a mother,
Right.
I have no idea what it feels like to bring life into the world and then lose your child. But I had a miscarriage and I found a way to blame myself. My grandma died. I found a way to blame myself. It's like be, there's something inside of us that wants to understand, and so we're like, I gotta do something, even if that means blaming me. And I talked to one of my somebody I was talking to, and they were blaming themselves for some things too. I think a lot of people, we do that to try to cope with our grief. But you're an excellent mom. You're a great mother. I can just tell by how you talk, how you carry yourself, like the ways that you think about things. You are a great mother. And I know if your daughter was here, she would say the same thing. But don't put that burden on yourself. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I know that's harder. It's easier said than done, but don't do that, please.
I love what you said, Denise. And Anna, I'm also going to tell you that I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm not going to tell you how you should or shouldn't feel, what you should and shouldn't think, right? However you have to grieve with this is the way that you do it, however you need to do it for the time being that you need to do it, right? You may feel some things and you learn later, this was some irrational shit. I'm going to throw that way and I'm going to go with my next feeling, right? But I love that you said that this is just how we're processing or coping with grief, right? And I'm so dead ass serious about starting a grief support group, because grief is something that I don't think most people are prepared for until it happens. And then when it happens, you realize just how unfucking prepared you are mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and in most aspects of life. And it's usually not until after having a significant loss that you then start to dance with grief, to hopefully one day understand that there's a way we can dance together cohesively, and there's a way we can dance together where you fucking take over me. And so many people are stuck in that space of grief taking over them, and that's really, really dangerous. And so I love that you said that, Denise, because kind of like what we talked about at the very beginning of the conversation, taking on things to be taking them on, right? As opposed to, maybe I'm not supposed to take this on. Maybe I'm just supposed to feel in this situation, but I don't have to take this on. I don't have to blame me. I don't have to find blame. No, I don't. I think that I do think that there are accidents, but I try not to, for myself personally, find ways to scapegoat them, because I do want to change my behaviors. I do want to stop repeating cycles. I do want to be better, feel better, operate better. So for me, self, of course, is it. But when you talk about grief loss, that almost changes the whole fucking conversation all over again. You can't even have a fair fight in the conversation of accountability when grief is what you're dancing with. And I always appreciate you for sharing that. I really do. I really do. And I can't even imagine. So thank you for just always, healing out loud with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to change it to that. It's just
No.
No.
Please. That's what we do here,
that's just, like placing blame, accountability, accidents.
Oh, okay. So let me ask this question. How do you look at blame differently from responsibility or accountability? Some people look at it as one and the same. Do you look at that as different?
I don't. I feel like they're the same
Like,
thing.
no, I can take responsibility or accountability for certain things without taking blame for it. In my mind, I can. Like, no, I'm not blaming myself, but in a certain aspect of it, I can take responsibility for whatever my part was. Just because
Why is that not
I feel
the same thing?
responsible,
Why is it not the same thing?
I don't look at it the same way. So, okay, so when we went back to the Diddy thing, I think there are certain elements that Cassie can take responsibility for, but I don't blame her for that situation or a lot of those situations that they found themselves in. It's just some things that you play a part in. Playing a part in doesn't push the blame. It doesn't push something to blame, in my opinion.
That kind of goes back to your pie scenario, though. So there is a little bit of blame there because you're saying, if I didn't do this, then maybe I wouldn't be in this. So it's
Right,
still
but
some level of blame,
everything
even
that you
within
do,
accountability.
but blame has a negative connotation connected to it. It's something that has a negative effect or outcome in the situation. I can be accountable or responsible for an action, but the action itself didn't have to be a negative or immoral or poor character or lazy action. It was just a certain move that I made that, in hindsight, it wasn't wrong what I did, but in hindsight, I'll know to move a little bit differently next time. I can take responsibility for those actions, but still not take blame for the situation, because that's the way I look at it. I don't know if you look at it like that too, but blame and accountability is not going to be the same thing for me.
Maybe like accountability, and the difference between accountability and blame is like maybe shame is attached to blame.
It is.
Typically, yeah. And I think that's the difference to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so if I say I show up late to the meeting, free thinkers, I get on late, I can take responsibility or accountability for not being here on time. But if Nikki flip out and start cussing out everybody and throwing stuff and whatever, just flipping out, I'm not taking blame. I'm not taking the blame for us having a bad show.
Your fault.
No, I can take accountability. I do need to make sure that I show up on time, and maybe, just possibly, if I was on time and a little bit better prepared, maybe I could have kind of got a gauge on Nikki to see if she was having a bad day, or maybe I had to reel her in a little bit, or maybe I have to take the lead because I see she ain't in the best frame of mind. That's possible. If I was on time, that could have been, but I'm not taking the blame for her flipping out and us having a bad show if that was the case. Two different things. I still take, I take responsibility for not being there on time, but I'm still not blaming myself that she flipped out and we had a bad show.
So cute.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see a great division between the two. However, I Googled it to see, and if it's on the internet, then it's obviously the truth, right? So I Googled the difference between accountability and blame, and it says the difference between blame and accountability lies in the definitions and implication. So blame involves wrongly assigning responsibility for a fault or mistake to someone else, often carrying a negative connotation and serving deflect.
I disagree with that.
Hold on. It says serving to deflect responsibility. It says accountability, on the other hand, means ownership of one's actions and their outcomes, whether positive or negative. It involves acknowledging one's role in situations and accepting the consequences or decisions made.
I disagree with the definition of blame.
In summary, blame focuses on fault finding, while accountability emphasizes responsibility and self-leadership.
But the first part of that definition, you were saying it was implying that it's a wrong focus or, accusation. Like, no, I can correct you. You say what?
It says a negative or a fault.
But it was something. What did you say after that?
With that.
What'd you say?
It was something else that was said after that, but it was saying that it was like incorrect. I'm like, no, you can correctly blame someone.
Wrongly assigning responsibility for a fault or make someone else.
You said a wrong what? Say it again.
Blame involves wrongly assigning responsibility for a fault.
Yeah, I disagree with that. When they say wrongly assigning I can correctly blame you and I got it targeted on the right person.
But this may be,
but that doesn't mean that.
But this can also be but this is also the example. So the example, or where it says often carrying negative connotation and serving to deflect responsibility. This is where me instituting blame onto somebody else comes into play. So Q, it is your fault that I fucked off the whole show because you were not here on time. It is definitely your fault, right? As opposed to,
and I could be blaming you, but I'm saying when it said wrongly assigning, that's the part I disagree with.
Right.
Because I think you can rightly assign blame to the correct person.
So is that the part that some people have a problem with then with taking blame? Because it has the negative connotation that I must have intentionally done something, as opposed to I fucked up, now I'm going to take accountability. I fucked up, now I'm going to be responsible for it.
Well, let me say this: people who have no problem being accountable usually don't have issues if blame comes to them. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take the blame for that because you've already created a habit of being accountable to yourself first. So in most cases, can't nobody come to you with something that you ain't already thought about yourself. By the time they blame you for it, like, yeah, that was on me. I'd already been thinking about it before you even said it. Good conversation. Okay, so before we get out of here, let's do a quick lightning three minutes. These are sweeping generalizations, okay? So just give some general feedback about blame.
Generalizations.
Sweeping generalizations.
You know we can't do that, but we'll try.
Yes, you can. Now we're gonna get into some quick stereotyping real quick, okay? What do you blame men for?
What do what?
What do you blame men for? The first one easy. War. Men are blamed for war. Well, you know what? Kind of.
For war?
Yeah. Mostly men. But I can sideways blame women for it too. If women didn't exist on this earth, I wonder how much men would actually go to war. But still, I blame men for war. But anyway, that's just a thought. What else y'all blame men for?
I blame men for getting women pregnant that they don't want to have their children. Because you, sir, gotta release that sperm. My egg
Ain't egging without that sperm.
Okay, my egg not going into your, you know,
My
yo,
egg
you
ain't
gotta
egging without
release.
your juices.
I cannot get you pregnant. I can protect myself, but I cannot get you pregnant.
Yeah, you gotta release, my guy. So I blame men for that.
I blame men for fronting. We are the leaders in fronting. I'm like, you only doing that just because she around. Like, men be fronting a lot. It's just like, why? So easy. What else I blame me? What
I
do we
blame men for
blame me?
patriarchy.
Well, I think you would have to. Who else could you blame anyone else for
Right,
patriarchy?
but men continue to allow the system of patriarchy that they benefit from to continue operating.
Okay, so you're saying you blame men for continued patriarchy.
Absolutely.
Huh. I think I agree with that, but I got to think about that too. I'm trying to find out where women come into play on that too. Women play a part on that as well.
We exist. We have a vagina. I like there's no part that we play for the role in
Oh yes,
patriarchy.
it is. There's a lot. There's a whole lot of women that take up the
Because
patriarchy.
we can't demolish it. We can't destroy
That's
it.
not why. That's not why. There's a lot of women who believe in patriarchy and subscribe to patriarchy, which is a main reason that it still exists in the way that it does.
I believe in traditional roles, but I damn sure don't believe in fucking patriarchy like that. Absolutely not.
There's a lot of women that
Right,
do.
there's a difference. Right.
That part, for sure.
Yeah. Like to say, for even to the point that there was a large portion of women that don't believe in a woman president. And they wasn't gonna vote for a woman to be, because they don't believe that a woman should be leader over a country of men.
A lot of women also hate women too, so there's that.
Well, I mean, okay, that's what that's kind of what I'm saying. Okay,
I mean, all the
what
KKK had wives, so you know.
what do you blame women for?
You know, I have a hard time with that only because I think the things that I immediately think of are our responses to fuck shit from a man. Right? So with that being said, like I feel like I blame us for the sentiment of we teach people how to treat us. Well, fuck, why do I have to, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why does the man have to have unsavory bullshit behavior
Nikki,
that
I said,
I
what do
have
you?
to say
I said,
no
what do
to?
you blame women for? Now you're talking about men.
No, but I'm saying, so I want to say I blame women for us being beings that generally, unfortunately, teach people how to treat us. But my response to that is because it's all fuck shit that men have done to us. So I'm trying to
Just
hard
boomerang
time.
it back to men. I said, what do you blame women for?
I mean, I blame us for not leaving when we should leave, but fuck.
I
I
blame
blame
y'all.
women. I gotta
Oh, go ahead.
blame.
Go
I
ahead.
blame women for the same thing I blame men for. Getting pregnant for a dude that ain't trying to be with them for real.
Yeah.
Cause you gotta say yes.
Yeah.
So now you gotta say yes, you can,
Yeah.
and then they gotta shoot. So either way, it's both y'all fault. Because
Agree.
you could have been like, let me properly vet this situation. At least make this man do right by me, X, Y, and then you don't. And now he in there shooting, and now boom, you stuck.
I blame women for being the biggest two-faced hypocrites on this planet.
What?
Let me tell you how. Let me tell you how.
You got a lot of you got
Please
sisters. You got a lot of
explain.
women in the family too. You got sisters and cousins.
I'm just going, and I ain't even going that far into it.
Right.
It's and the reason I say the biggest is because y'all go to such opposite extremes. Because you know, a dude would be like, "What's up?" He ain't really talking. I ain't really deal with, I ain't really deal with him in the first place. But two women just meet, they be on that whole hey sis vibe, and they looking out for each other, and they, oh, you got something in your hair, and just just sisters looking out for each other. We on girl code all the way. It's us against the world. Until that other woman say something you don't like, then every bee and hoe and everything come out to you nasty, skanky, nasty. I'm like, God, this was
No.
somebody y'all was just friends with. You act like y'all was just friends a second ago. And it goes from love times 10 to hate times 100. I'm like, You can't love somebody and hate somebody that much. The same person hate them as much as you love them. Like it'd be so weird. That's the weird stuff that I see. I ain't saying with none of y'all necessarily, but I'm generalizing when we talk about the extremes women go to and be on this girl code and all loving each other, and then they hate you. They call you every stanky hoe in the book, and it's like just every single name got something to do with how much your cat stank and how used you is, and you dirty, and
You
and
must have
like
watched
every
the
word
same
is a
live.
hoe and a skank, and it's like, really?
You must have watched the same live on Facebook today that I caught a whiff of. Sue.
No, I didn't, but I mean, it's pretty prevalent.
Give us all of that.
I think I might have to blame women for casual sex culture.
Again,
Okay,
so it goes back to my
Huh?
statement, Denise. We teach
you gotta
people how to treat
blame
us.
men again.
That can only happen if we allow it, right? So I hate the thought that we're allowing certain things. Again, I hate that you said what you said, Q, because I'm not trying to blame men, but the shit that I blame us for is responses to fuck shit that men do to us. So I agree, Denise, but it's like but we wouldn't have this culture of frivolous,
If it
sex,
wasn't for
right?
a man.
If it wasn't for a man trying to give us nothing but some dick, you know what I mean?
But
Well,
that
not
goes back
even
to
that,
our
but the
lack of
men
boundaries.
controlling the entertainment system to make us really think that that's an okay thing for us to be even
True,
vying for, both men
true,
and women.
true,
So
true.
the men actually running the whole broadcasting system itself, I feel like, not
Mm,
necessarily like the every average ordinary man, but the men that are in charge of putting the things out there for us to consume are changing that. So yeah, I kind of believe that.
I'm
I
laughing at y'all
hold
because
on, hold on. I want to say something to that because as you're saying this, like my mind is like fucking waking up. I remember when I got single, almost 9 years ago. Like after being in a relationship for almost 20 fucking years, a committed, faithful relationship for almost 20 years, and then being single, I didn't think I was gonna meet the man of my dreams like within a couple of days. I certainly didn't think I'd still be single this long. However, I got dropped off into roster culture. And roster culture was not something I have ever I was not promiscuous growing up. Like I've never really been a promiscuous chick. Like I don't cheat on my dude. Like I don't knock another person's hustle. Like if you're a promiscuous person, hey, do what you do. That how you shit don't make how what you eat don't make me shit. Like I'm cool with that, right? But when you get into the culturalization of it, when you get into the normalization, when you get into the desensitization of it, I almost had to like question myself. The first couple of years I was hanging out with other women who were very much a part of hookup culture and very much a part of roster culture, and I'm okay with everybody coming from different places and having different opinions and beliefs and shit like that, but I really had to question myself in the beginning, like, is there something wrong with me? Like am I supposed to be
Denise
just
said it was y'all fault. Denise said that's y'all
am
y'all
I just
that's y'all
supposed to be
blame.
cool with like fucking with this dude on Friday and fucking with the next dude on Monday and going out to eat with this new dude on like I really had to sit back and be like, is there something wrong? Because I really felt like that's the message that I was being given, and I was told numerous of times throughout the course of these 9 years that unless I change my ways, I'm probably going to be single forever. And I'm not changing my fucking ways when it comes to what I stand on in terms of integrity and my ethics and my values and my morals. But this society will definitely make you think if you
mhm.
don't have all your shit together, that there's something wrong with you. And
Yeah.
will have you doing shit that you really don't approve of just
Yeah.
because this is what society has told us is normal. This is what
Mhm.
you should be doing. No, I don't knock another person, but that shit is not for me. And I cannot rectify that in my mind. I just can't.
You know what it is
What
too though?
what
It's not even just that society's saying it's normal. It's just that for everyone else, it is normal. And when it ain't normal to you, it is such a culture shock. To your point, Nikki, to go from a long-term relationship to how dating is now, you're just like, okay, so what? And you're trying to navigate all of that But the fact of the matter is, to go back to the question of, or why I place blame on women, is because it does feel like a competition almost, right? It doesn't feel like you're like just trying to get to know someone. You're competing with someone who's throwing that ass in a circle every night. And you're just like, maybe I need to throw that ass in a circle. I don't know.
Right?
In a rectangle.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, what, because I don't even know at this point. But I will say that if you stand on your ground and be like, look, I'm not doing this, it does help you do like a process of elimination.
Right.
You're like, hey, I'm not having sex.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will.
For
Yeah.
sure.
We ain't together. I'm not having sex. Be
For
Right.
great.
But it's like what it took to get to that place is sometimes the frustrating part for some people, right? Like today, I'm super good with where I stand. But 9 years ago when I first got single, I was like, fuck, are you kidding? Like, I've never been a prude. I've never been a goody two shoes. Like, I don't sit up here and judge the next person like that. But I was like, this is not for me. Like, I literally felt like I got dropped off in the wrong fucking era. Now, 9 years into it, I'm grateful. As fucked up as my relationship was at times, I'm grateful I was there as long as I was, to be able to see that shit's fucking possible. And I've been saying it since I left, that again, even though that situation was definitely not, the fucking poster child of a healthy goddamn relationship, the good was great. The good was great. The good taught me that men can be loyal. Men can also be monsters, but they can be loyal. They can love their women. They can do all of the things that men are supposed to do. Like, they can do all of these things. You'll never hear me say that men ain't shit, and all men are dogs, and all men cheat, and da 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 da. I don't believe in love. Blah, blah. Like, you'll never hear me talk like that, because I don't believe that, because I exist, because I know how I love exists. I know there are other people that are out there in the same way. We're just beat the fuck down by what society has fed us to diminish our power, to take away some of our power. And I refuse.
I think my main issue with hookup culture is that I feel like it creates an inability to really connect. If people could hook up, but then also like really be open to really connecting with someone, I feel like sometimes it just creates this kind of lazy, like, I don't really have to be accountable in this situation, because as soon as I have over here, I'm gonna go over here with the next one. And it's like, when do we ever like resolve things? Like, when there's no like real commitment, like, how do we get past go if you're just like have all these sexual options and this like false idea of like intimacy that's not even like a real deep sense of intimacy. It's like just for the time being, but minus all the other things that should be accompanied with it. So that's why I just can't stand hookup culture. I just feel like, and then it breaks down the family unit, because then with hookup culture, it's one thing to like have a baby with somebody that you were with. I think it's another thing for like, I feel like a lot of babies nowadays are like hookup babies. Yeah. These are like people who had no intention on being together, or at least one of them didn't have intentions on being with the other one. The other one didn't know. You know what I mean? And so then now you have all these broken homes, and then you got all this like, and it just creates all this like fallout, this unnecessary. So that's why I just don't like it. I feel like the fallout from it is just not worth the sex.
Denise, I have hookup culture on my list of topics for future conversations. We're gonna do a hookup culture night.
What were you saying, Q?
I forgot. I don't know.
What do you blame women for, Q? What do you blame women for? Tell us.
Oh, I just told you that y'all hypocrites.
Oh, that's right. You said two-faced hypocrites.
Yeah, he said we're the biggest two-faced hypocrites. I'm so glad this is a safe space for Q.
Two-faced hypocrites.
No, I have reasons for what I say. I can back it up. Okay, look, we're at 2:20. I think we're good. Anybody have any final words before we get out of here?
Now this was a good convo. I mean, I appreciate it. Y'all know I appreciate y'all. Like, y'all remind me to be vulnerable. Y'all remind me to be honest. Y'all remind me to be real about my own experiences. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just appreciative to have this opportunity to share space with people of your magnitude, to be honest. It's rare to meet people who are this, like, I hate to use this word real, but I feel like it's rare. So, like, I'm appreciative that I even have this kind of space with all the things that are going on in the world and all the different opinions that people have and stuff that's being shared on the internet, etc., that I can come to a space with people who have varied opinions and are true and honest and vulnerable and raw. I'm so appreciative because it's like cuts through the fake shit. Like, I be need something to cut through the fake shit, and this is it. So thank y'all for being who y'all are. Honestly,
Yeah, I ditto that. Actually, I appreciate the space for sure.
Well, we definitely appreciate y'all because we sure as hell. I mean, we could talk all day long, but it's so much better when we have other people to come, converse with us. So, I loved this conversation because I think accountability and responsibility and blame is something that everybody has a relationship with in some form or fashion, right? And I think that at least for us tonight, being raw, being honest, being transparent, you know, creating a space where it's safe for all of us to feel the way that we feel and, have a man's perspective and women's perspective. I just continue, like, I can't believe that we've been doing this online now for what, 7 years, 6 years? No, online now 5, but in totality as free thinkers, going on, I think our 8th birthday actually. And it never feels like it's been that long because it's so good every week. And this helps keep me accountable. Saying these things out loud, having them recorded keeps me accountable. Having conversations with people afterwards keeps me accountable. Like, I just continue to feel like there is power in healing out loud. So I appreciate you guys for being here and, coming every Tuesday or every Tuesday that you can and just giving us you and acting like this isn't fucking recorded on the whole World Wide Web for anybody and their mama to watch.
I'll be forgetting that part though, for real. For real.
But that's how you know it's good, when we forget, right? Accountability is a beautiful thing. I think that part of growth, being a grown up and being better than yesterday, comes with, some accountability. Whether you want to blame yourself or not, that's between you and you, right? But accountability and responsibility in certain things, I think, is really, really important. So I hope that folks at the end of the day hear that more than anything. How we get there is the journey. The outcome is hopefully still the same. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for being part of the family, man. We have some great conversations coming up these next couple of weeks too. So Tuesday, every Tuesday,
every
8:05.
Tuesday.
And
I just say,
before we log off, Wednesday is Q's son's birthday, and Thursday is Q's birthday. So happy early birthday to Q.
Happy
Happy
birthday!
birthday!
thank you. So appreciate it.
Happy early birthday. Anything
Yeah.
you want to share, Q?
No, I just say with the transparency part, I had a friend of mine who showed me many years ago there's a difference between being honest and transparent. And the other thing that I say is I learned that transparency comes natural for a very micro percentage of people. For most people, it's not something that's natural. But it has to be, transparency has to be exercised and practiced. So even when we talk about these conversations, I realize that we're able to have these conversations because not the conversation itself, but there's been a practice of transparency that's been going on for many years. And that's why we're able to have these conversations. So yeah, that's just an observation. But yeah, thank everybody for checking us out and then jumping right in and getting into the conversation as well. Like Anna just, hey, we being real, we being raw. We just jump right in. So and that's one of the at the beginning of our shows, that's one of our prerequisites. Hey, be ready to come in with your own thoughts, your own mindset, and be prepared to challenge and be challenged. So everybody who does that, either coming on live or just from the comment section, we appreciate all of it. So
Yes,
yep,
thank
that's
you to
all I got.
everybody in the comments tonight. We had a lot of folks chiming in from the YouTube stream. So shout out to everybody who was in the comments. And just a reminder that in 2 weeks we will be back for our in person. So next week, the 22nd, we'll have our conversation with the gender flip. What would you do? And then the 29th, the last Tuesday of the month, of course, will be in person. So of course,
I
stay tuned.
already got an answer for the one you put in the thread, Denise. I got an answer for that easy. But then go ahead.
Oh, I got some other stuff. I am so curious to hear what Q is going to ask us.
Next
So,
week,
like,
y'all make sure that you tune in next week. We are going to talk about some gender flip. So, if you've got some ideas or some scenarios that you want to add to the conversation, if you're not comfortable jumping on, then just shoot us a message and we'll definitely use the situation asking men what would they do in a women's situation and women what they would do in men's situation. I love the idea, Denise. So thank you.
Are you doing anything for your birthday, Q?
Trying to get her killed.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some paintball tomorrow. I've never done paintball before. We're gonna do some paintball. Is you coming, Nikki? You ain't hit me back. Is you getting out there?
I think we're coming. I hadn't talked to the boys yet. I was on a clean last night till 3:00 in the morning. So I came home, crashed the fuck out, and just haven't had time to literally have that conversation today. But I really want to because you made me feel like if I don't, I'm a weenie because
I do.
I don't want to be a weenie. So trying to kill us.
You're gonna end up with big old bruises.
Look, I literally told him, I was like,
don't
I'm
get
so
hit.
afraid.
Don't get hit.
If I get hurt, like I can't fucking work. I'm like, I'm a little bit nervous about that, right? But like I've never paintball before, so
And I've never done it before either. So that'll be brand new. I have no advantage over anybody.
But we will have July birthday.
I grew up in the early 90s.
We will have July birthday on the last Tuesday though. So if anybody is here local and they're thinking about coming out Tuesday, come out Tuesday. We'll have some July birthday action. So make sure you come out Tuesday. We'll do that for sure.
And I just dropped a single, y'all, called
You
Wish
did?
I Never Met You. For all the lover girls and the lover boys and the lover thems out there. You got your heart broken, you need a soundtrack. But you still
I got some really good feedback for you.
You do?
Denise. Yeah. I've been hearing good things. So
yes.
Who was that one? First of all, when I very first listened to it, I put it on my speakers in the bathroom. First 10 seconds, my wife was like, "Oh, I like that. Who is that?" I was like, "Oh," she was like, "Oh yeah, I can vibe with that." She ain't know who it was. She ain't know nothing. Like just off of hearing it from the jump. She's like, "Oh yeah, I like." And that's funny because she usually don't even go out. I wasn't even like, "Hey, listen to this." I didn't even know she was in there. She was like, "Who is this? I like this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's the new." And then I had some other friends.
Make sure that, and I know you've dropped it in a couple places, but make sure you drop it in the Facebook page. She's actually got it pinned to the top of our Facebook group page, but definitely make sure that you share all of your streams so people can go and download your music.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me tell you one other story. Cause then I had another friend. Cause I just started I was going to my messenger and I was just sending it off. And then I had one of my friends hit me. She was like, okay, first of all, this song is fire. This is a dope song. Second of all, are you trying to say something? Or I was like, no, I had a couple people like, I'm not sending no subliminals. Ain't nobody broke my heart. I ain't got no issues.
That's all.
I said, this is my girl. I'm just sending her music out there. They was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, the song is fire. I ain't know if you was trying to say something with this by sending me the song. I'm like, nah, ain't nobody sending nothing.
Damn.
But yeah, I've heard, had several compliments like, yo, this song is nice. So yeah, heard
For sure.
heard a
Thanks,
bunch of
y'all.
good stuff. So yeah, I
Thank y'all
just
so
wanted to tell you
much.
that.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, that was funny. They was like, I'm like, no, I don't do no subliminals like that. Ain't nobody broke my heart. My heart
I'm
is
good,
finally
I'm
mended.
good, I'm married, I'm good, everything good at the
Right.
house.
My heart is finally mended. It's fine. It's good. Okay. Good night, y'all.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
y'all.
Bye.